The strength of this nation we call the United States of America was built on the tenacity and true grit of a strong military. Take a moment, look at the stars and stripes of the American flag, and never ever forget those who sacrificed their future for your freedom. American Tire and Automotive salutes the United States of America and its military. Their spirit and dedication guarantee our freedoms. God has truly blessed America.
It's great to be back. Looking forward to the challenges of the season, but probably more importantly, it's a great time in the summer to spend time with your family and develop some relationships that in this profession we don't get to do on many occasions. But probably most importantly is I've been working for Terry for about the last 2 or 3 weeks, and I'm certainly glad to get back somewhere where somebody will do what I ask them to do. So that's really one of the reasons we're excited. But you know, there's a lot of passion and positive energy that has been very helpful and effective in helping us develop and improve the Alabama football program, and we certainly appreciate our fans, our institution's administration. Dr. Witt has done a phenomenal job. Mal Moore has done a phenomenal job of setting the table for us so that we can have success, and the positive energy and attitude has been very good for recruiting and been very helpful and positive for our players. You know, you can't really predict what's going to happen with a bunch of young adolescent people in anything that you might sort of encounter with them, most certainly not a football team. And I think that all of you spend a lot of time trying to figure that out. But because that's very difficult, we choose to focus on the process of the things that need to get done so that you can have a good team. You know, the will that your team has in terms of togetherness, team chemistry, respect, trust, supporting one another, positive energy and attitude to do their job, be responsible for their own self-determination, to do their job, and to have the work ethic to dominate the competition, not just to work hard, but to dominate the competition, which is very keen in our league. That is really, really critical, I think, in the development of any team. And that's something that's very difficult to predict, and it's very challenging to try to develop. You know, along those lines, and our season last year was probably a great example of this, one player cannot create the light that you need to be successful. But one blinking light on your team can destroy all the things that we're talking about. And there was some example of that last year in terms of how our season ended. And that's all of our responsibilities and obligation to try to make that a positive thing for our team and our team's success this year. Leadership in these areas, you know, having guys that are role models who buy into the principles and values of the organization, make a commitment to it, are accountable to it, but also have the personality to inspire others to the vision of the organization is probably critical to team success as well. So we have a very challenging opener in Virginia Tech, who will probably be one of the top 5 teams in the country. They play great defense. They've always been great on special teams. They have some very explosive players on offense. But those kinds of games can let you know where your team is in their development for the challenges of the SEC, or develop the kind of confidence in a team like it did last year to enhance your team's development when we played Clemson in Atlanta. So, you know, we've had a good summer. We've had a good off season. Our players have worked hard, but there are many challenges that face us, and we're looking forward to all those relative to our league. Well, I do think that probably the 2 critical areas on offense is, you know, quarterback's always an important position. You know, Greg McElroy has certainly done a good job to this point in terms of his development. He's a bright guy. He's very instinctive. He understands the offense, but he does not have the experience. And he's only going to get that by playing and developing the respect when he makes plays of his teammates. Quarterback's a difficult position to play if you don't have really good players around you, and that starts with the offensive line. And we're pleased with the development and the progress that our offensive line made in the spring. But I think critical to that is we have 4 newcomers in the offensive line, guys that we recruited. A couple of them were in spring practice. A couple more have joined the team over the summer. And I think these guys' development, whether it's for depth or to improve quality of starters, will be a real key to, our team's development offensively. So that's, and I can't make any prediction on who those guys are going to be. I think it's going to be determined by the things that I just talked about. Well, what we always try to determine, and I sort of look at like a little bit more like what we did in pro ball. We go through 2-3 weeks of camp, and in pro ball you have to cut your team down to 47 to bring it to 53 to have an 8-man sort of practice squad to get you to 61. Well, after we go through 2 or 3 weeks, we're going to determine who the top 50 or 55 players are on our team. And if some of those guys are young players and freshmen, and we're going to devote the time and the reps to let those guys develop and play on our team. That's how we always do it. And we had 4 newcomers contribute significantly to our team last year, and 14 guys led her. So if they're the best players, then that's who we're going to try to play. If they can provide the best depth, then that's who we're going to play. And doing that last year, we had a lot of freshmen playing on special teams, and other than punt return, we weren't as good on special teams, and that's an area that we really need to improve on. Now, hopefully, we'll have a more experienced group. We have our specialist back and our returner, but we'll have a more experienced group making up the teams themselves, so hopefully we'll be able to improve in that area. Well, I think the things that I just talked about, the will of the players relative to team togetherness, work ethic to dominate, which has been good to this point. Camp is always a challenge for that. Who's going to be responsible for their own self-determination and do their job? When I worked for Belichick, we only had one sign in the whole building. It said, "Do your job," right up above there, right where it says exit. It was for the janitor, it was for the secretaries, it was for the coaches, it was for the people in personnel, it was for the players, it was for the managers, it was for everybody in the organization. And it was defined, and everybody's got to be responsible to that. And if you're going to have a successful organization, everybody's got to make a commitment to that, and they got to be accountable to that role. And I think that's the most critical thing that this team needs to be able to do. And that's a challenge for us, and it's a challenge to the leadership, which starts with me, to get to that point and to develop this group. And the inspiration for this group is entirely different than it was a year ago. Last year's inspiration was everybody wanted to prove something. We didn't finish the year before very well, and players are a little embarrassed and all that. And, we weren't really circled on anybody's schedule as a team to beat, but I'm not sure that's going to be the case this year. We will be circled. So the challenge is more, you have to be as good as you can be because you want to be it, and you have to have the will to do it. And that's a little different kind of challenge, and our players need to be aware and prepared, for that challenge.